In the rest of this chapter, we will be studying different types of integrals and some fundamental theorems of calculus that come out of that study. The first part of this, we'll be thinking about what line integrals are, and we're going to be integrating curves or lines over scalar functions and over vector fields. So, just a couple of ideas that I wanted to throw out before we get started is first, that when we have studied double and triple integrals, we were integrating over a region in R2 for double integrals or a region in space for triple integrals. So we integrated over regions. Or you might remember that we called R our region in the xy plane and D our region in space where we integrated over. Line integrals are based on integrating over space curves. So we still integrate a function or a vector field, but we integrate over curves. We can call them planar curves if we're on the xy plane, or space curves to be more general. So we integrate over curves. There are two types of line integrals. One type is where we are dealing with a scalar field or scalar function over a curve. So we're integrating scalar functions over a curve. Two, we're integrating vector fields over a curve. And so, again, the region that we're integrating over this time with line integrals is no longer a region, but we're integrating over curves, and we're integrating two different types of things over curves. One, a scalar function. That's how we're going to start today. And two, we can integrate a vector field over a curve. Those are the two ideas that we're going to be covering in the next several videos. So let's start with first what it means to integrate scalar fields. So this means we are dealing with line integrals, so we're integrating over curves, and we're integrating scalar functions. So we'll start with a scalar field. That means scalar functions that we're integrating. So suppose that we have f, a function that's defined on a smooth curve C. I'm starting here on the plane, xy plane, where C is a planar curve that's parametrized by r of t equals x of t, y of t from t equals a to b. Then the line integral, the notation for this, and first I'm going to explain the notation, then I'm going to explain the idea, and then we'll talk about how we evaluate these integrals, and then we'll follow up with some examples. So our notation for line integral of f along C is as follows. We use an integral. We are integrating over a curve C. It's called a line integral, but many mathematicians say, oh, it should be called a curve integral. Doesn't matter. Function that we're integrating is a surface, f of xy, and we're integrating with respect to arc length. So this is our notation for a line integral over a scalar, on a scalar field. So this means we're integrating a scalar function over a curve. Now, let's think about what we're doing. Here I have a curve on the xy plane, or curve C, that can be parametrized by r of t. And when we integrate over this curve, a surface, right, what we're actually doing is we might have some kind of surface in space, and we project the curve onto our surface, and we get some kind of projection like this. When we integrate the curve over the surface, so actually maybe it goes a little bit more, let me try and get a better sense of what this could look like. Imagine, so let's see, maybe our curve looks like this, and we're integrating a surface over this curve. We're integrating the surface over the curve, which means that we make this kind of curtain above our curve that intersects the surface, and we add up the area of that two-dimensional curtain. So what we're actually doing when we're integrating over a curve in space is we are integrating a surface, but only looking at the cross-section of our surface over that curve and finding function values on our surface that lie directly above our curve. So imagine here that we have our curve on the xy plane. We first, like we do with everything in integration, was we partition our interval. I've drawn at the bottom our t-axis because t goes from a to b. Remember that our curve is parametrized with respect to t. And what we do is we partition our curve, but not to find area. We partition our curve along its length. So we take little pieces of our curve along the length, which means we're partitioning with respect to arc length. And in each small partition, let's say on the interval from t sub k minus 1 to t sub k, we pick a point and we sample, at that point we sample the function. So if we go back to the above, imagine this is our little interval from t k minus 1 to t sub k. And in that interval, we sample along that length, we sample the function so that we get we can get the area of that rectangle, which is a piece of that curtain. So what we've done is, when we've taken a sample point, we evaluate the function at our sample point. Let's suppose it's x sub k star, y sub k star. We get the height, and then we multiply by a little change in the arc length. So this is the length of the curve. And of course, as delta s gets arbitrarily small, it becomes a straight line. But so we're integrating over the curve, that's the length of the curve, and this is the height or the value of the function. And then as we do, when we want to approximate the total area of this curtain, right? So our total area approximation is going to be adding up over our partition. We say, all right, we add up over k from k equals 1 to n. We take our function values at our little sample point in each subinterval. That gives us the height of one panel of the curtain, and we multiply by a little change in the arc length, which gives us the length of one panel of that curtain. And then we take the limit as our delta s gets arbitrarily small, and that's going to become our arc length differential. And so in the limit, the actual area of that curtain, or the value of our line integral, will be integral over the curve C of f of xy, which you know this gives us the height of the of each panel, right? So f of xy lies on the surface, times our little arc length differential as delta s gets arbitrarily small. Now, just a note here, recall, this has been a while ago, but recall that we have an expression for our arc length differential. We can think of it as this: ds dt is the magnitude of the velocity vector of our curve. These were two ways of representing the speed of our curve r of t. Now, if I multiply both sides by ds, we have an expression for the arc length differential, which will be the speed times a little increment of time. So yes, speed times a very small increment of time is going to give us our little ds, or change in position along the curve. And so now we can express our line integral over the curve for the function f of xy ds. So our shorthand way of expressing the line integral now has become, well, t, it's going to be a line integral with respect to t. T will go from a to b. We will have our function at xy, that the x and y values that are little points on our curve, right, which are defined by our parametrized curve, and we multiply by ds, which is our arc length differential, or our magnitude of r prime of t dt. So you might notice that this actually is just an integral, an ordinary integral that we handled in our Calculus 2 classes. So in the next videos, we're going to think about how we evaluate these integrals and start doing some examples. But again, the idea here is that we are integrating a vector function, right? Our vector function here is f of xy is a surface over a curve. Now that surface could represent density over the curve, linear density, for example, and we might get the entire mass of a curved wire, or we get the area of this curtain. But the idea is that we're integrating now a scalar function over a curve on the xy plane. Of course, we can integrate curves that are in space, and that's going to move us to R3.